I mean, to call Benghazi a conspiracy, and these are the people demanding that Alex Jones be deplatformed?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about cuckoo wacko bird.
Yeah.
Alex Jones looks like a bastion of complete reliability and sanity next to a standing U.S. president claiming Benghazi didn't happen, that it was just a conspiracy theory. I mean, that is... it's shocking.
And a Secretary of State and a National Security Advisor and a Assistant Director to the CIA. All of these people that were involved in this conspiracy to defraud the American people about what went on in Benghazi, Libya.
We have a dead ambassador.
Yep.
He's dead. He's not like pretend dead. It's not like somebody claimed he was dead, but then it turned out he was alive. He's dead. He was killed by terrorists who attacked the Benghazi compound. I mean, there is no, debating that. It happened. And watching what's going on with Chris Pronto right now, I'm really laser focused on this. He is a great American hero, credited with saving 20 lives on the roof in Benghazi. He is real too, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's giving interviews. And, watching his friends die in front of him as they literally, and if you've ever heard him speak, I heard him speak to the GOP women in Greenville. Was it a year or two ago? I don't remember. Time flies so fast. I mean, he told the whole story from beginning to end. And I mean, literally you have people screaming and crying, into their phones, begging for backup that never comes. And it's just, there wasn't a dry eye in the room listening to those guys as they beg for their lives. But, just conspiracy theory. It's kind of like what happens when you leave the left in charge of protecting you. You know how they want you to give up your guns and depend on them? That looks in practice a lot like Benghazi or maybe Broward County. That's what that looks like.
Or maybe the Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah, the Iran nuclear deal.
Where they negotiate with terrorists and send them billions of dollars in cash and then set it up so that they can develop the weapons and develop the missiles to be used against our nation and our allies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of
stuff.
Effort, yeah.
Anyway, Chris Pronto, and the reason I'm laser focused on this, Chris Pronto has seen the second suspension of his Twitter account this week so far. He is being punished again. Do you want to know what he said this time? You'll love this. This is what you now see, and the problem is you cannot criticize Obama. That is not going to be allowed. Here's what he wrote that this time, the second time that got him suspended from Twitter. He was criticizing Obama, and he wrote, "Nazis are bad," because Obama talked about Nazis being bad. Of course, Nazis, that'd be Trump or anyone associated with him. "Nazis are bad. Now try saying radical Islam."
Yeah,
that gets you suspended from Twitter. Now, okay, active Twitter accounts though during the suspension of Chris Pronto. Again, Mr. Farrakhan, who has praised Nazis, Hamas, they still have an active Twitter account. Ahmadinejad, a brutal dictator that had people killed, imprisoned, and tortured for daring to oppose him in the streets. That's not a big deal, though. He's got an active Twitter account right now. Suspended at present, Benghazi hero Chris Pronto. Here's what he said yesterday about that. If this doesn't encapsulate for you the fascist state of America this morning, and on this 9/11, and a great hero who saved lives on another 9/11 6 years ago, you get slapped, literally get slapped in the face. And that's what he said. He said this was a slap in his face for Obama to say Benghazi didn't occur.
I can't believe that he still is not taking responsibility for his failures and leaving us to die, which is essentially what he did and Hillary Clinton did. It makes all of us tremendously angry because he's trying to rewrite history and say that Benghazi didn't happen, especially to a group of college students who may not know the story. I just have to continue to put the truth out and fight back as much as I can.
Mr. Pronto fought off terrorists in Libya for over 13 hours. He is credited with saving at least 20 people during that attack.
They didn't just try to rewrite history. They tried to rewrite news, facts on the ground at the time this was happening, because they went out and told the American people there was a demonstration that got out of hand outside of the Benghazi, Libya consulate, and that was responsible for that situation. Total fabrication lie, period, that was repeated over and over and over again by the entire Obama administration. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, everybody involved in that administration was lying to the American people about what happened in Benghazi for at least 3 or 4 weeks until even the New York Times, for crying out loud, finally got them to understand, no, there was no demonstration going on outside Benghazi. This was a terrorist attack.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was a terrorist attack.
On an undefended consulate, thanks to the Obama administration.
And why they did that. Again, the very ambassador who was killed was the same person who armed the guys who killed him.
Well, there is that.
It's just what happens when you give Al-Qaeda/ISIS, whatever they were calling themselves that month in Libya, they were the same people, weapons, U.S. weapons. That's what happens when you do that. When you open the blockade to allow a ship full of those weapons from Qatar in, and then you send a guy like our dead ambassador out on the dock with them, and he helps to arm them by picking, that's a guy, no, that's Al-Qaeda, that's Al-Qaeda, no, I don't know him, that's Al-Qaeda, that's Al-Qaeda, that's Al-Qaeda, he can have those weapons. And he had trained with them and gotten to know them in Afghanistan. That's why they sent him to Benghazi. By the way, Benghazi is a giant terrorist training camp with a city attached to it. It is where, so this is what was never explained to the American people. Benghazi is where the Muslim Brotherhood lived in Libya after Gaddafi did a thing that people don't even understand and was absolutely, I've never seen anything like it. Its rival in the Middle East. Gaddafi was raised as a Sunni, Wahhabist Muslim. With everything that entails, and very Saudi style of Islam, a very radical style, and a style of Islam that seeks to gain property and territory through the murder of non-believers. And Gaddafi rejected all of it. Mm-hmm. That was how he was raised. He was raised in a mosque, if you can imagine. His parents paid to send him there. That's where he grew up. He rejected all of that. He rejected Islam. People don't know that. And so the first year that he took that country back from the oil magnates, he ran it as an Islamic caliphate. After that, he declared it was over. He banned child marriage. He banned multiple wives. He banned the traditional beards that that Wahhabist style of Islam would have. And he fought the Muslim Brotherhood, which felt they had a right to Libya. Hillary Clinton, by the way, agreed with that and bombed the country into submission, so they now run it. But for a long time, Gaddafi had them confined to a small corner of Libya where they couldn't hurt or kill anyone. And you literally could under Gaddafi. It literally was a modern miracle. I mean, the guy had tapped the water table in a way no one ever thought possible. And if you look at the satellite images, you can see the country turn from brown, a desert, to green. You can see during Gaddafi's reign, the average lifespan went from 37 years to 72, roughly the same as here. They had socialized medicine available for everyone, which we don't normally agree with here. But for that territory, that was a massive leap forward. It was the most modernized country in all of Africa. And the Muslim Brotherhood wanted it back. Al-Qaeda wanted it back. And so we helped the people in that corner, the Muslim Brotherhood, that was hunkered down in Benghazi. We helped them to take over that country. So once you understand what Benghazi was, I mean, if you look at when West Point did a study of the people who killed the most in Iraq of our soldiers, guess where they came from? Libya. Guess what part of Libya? Benghazi. So Gaddafi had these guys on the run. He was running a very modern, granted dictatorial. You don't want to challenge him in an election. You'll end up dead. You don't want to live there. Don't get me wrong. But you could get off a plane at Tripoli and go shopping. And you could, as an American with a passport, and you could get back on that plane unmolested under Gaddafi. That is not the way it is today. It is now a country run by ISIS. And Hillary did that, and Obama did that. And so if you start to understand what Benghazi was, that it was a terror training camp, that we knocked Libya's Air Force out so that those people could then take the country over, and that the person who was arming them was our own ambassador there, you understand why they let it burn. Because if we started looking too close at what Benghazi was, the American people might have known the truth. And that's why they let it burn. That's why they left them there. That's why they didn't rescue them. It's all very, very logical, makes a lot of sense. And we committed tremendous war crimes. I should say they did, the administration, in that country. 50,000 dead Libyans, most of them civilians. Who refused to accept the rule of the Muslim Brotherhood. They are now under the rule of the Muslim Brotherhood and their fighting arm, ISIS, today. One of the saddest chapters in U.S. history. It's a thing of shame, and I hope someday that somebody will understand what we did to that country. And when we say, I never forget Sean Hannity, who had no understanding of what he was talking about at the time, saying, "Oh well, we're fighting from behind like the French." Yeah, we fought from behind. Do you want to be in the front when you kill 50,000 civilians who won't accept Al Qaeda? And ruled by Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Of course not. They wanted plausible deniability. They fought in the back. And the epicenter of us arming them and training them was Benghazi. And that's why they left them to die on that roof. Those guys that were out there were not bad guys at all. Mr. Paranto, not at all. They were contractors who were sent in to protect what never should have been, which was that Benghazi compound. It was a thing of shame going on there. And those guys did not have, and I talked to him after the thing, they didn't know what was going on in there. They knew their only job was to defend it, and they couldn't understand why. That's why.